advantage of a technology that allows us to see not only the raindrops, hailstones, so forth that are in a storm that tell us about the intensity, but also now about the wind motion that's inside the storm and around the outside of the storm as well.
Okay, as most of us know, the National Weather Service is undergoing lots and lots of changes. Now, how confident is the government in these radars?
We're quite confident based on the experience that we've had in the Norman area. This is our third season now with the Doppler radar system, the NEXRAD system that's been online in Norman. And the experience that we've had is making us even more confident every year we go along.
Okay, also in simple put, other than the wind direction and the velocities, what's the big deal about radar? How come it's so much better?
Well, this radar, this NEXRAD system is more powerful and very much more sensitive. In fact, it's the sensitivity and the high resolution of even the standard reflectivity display that we see that really help us distinguish the hailstorms from the garden variety thunderstorms that we often see.
Okay. Now, NEXRAD has had its critics down in Texoma. What would you do to say to the critics?
Well, I think just the operations that have been going on for the past few years will pretty much answer that. I think a lot of the criticism early on was basically a lack of understanding or just an absence of knowledge about the system. But now that we're getting more experience with it, I think it's kind of proving the point.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming down.
Okay.
Dennis McCarthy from Norman Weather Service Office.
Now, this past week, we got a good chance to find out just how NEXRAD Doppler radar works during severe weather. We had some very intense storms come through, and we'll look back and see just how we and the weather spotters here at KFDX put Doppler to work.
Severe thunderstorm warning clocks.
When we start talking about the 50 to 55 dBZs, we get up into this level, this color red. These things really begin to show up. You'll notice this storm right here, that's the one in Caddo County that's producing the possible tornado indicated by radar. Let's go ahead and zoom in and get a little closer look. That's this storm right here. And you'll notice, if I freeze it on the current map right there, notice that right in the middle here you've got a very, very dark color. That's that 55 dBZ, which is indicative of having a very, very strong storm. It's interesting. This is neat. I want to show you this right here. This radar is so sensitive that a lot of times it will not pick up, or the old radar would not pick up these light blues and the dark blues in here. Those are 5, 10 to 15 dBZs. Notice this line. Watch the way this line moves from here and starts moving this way. That's actually the outflow boundary from these thunderstorm winds that are pushing off into the alpha series. They're moving west. The old radar wouldn't have shown that. It wouldn't have shown a thing. The new radar is sensitive enough that Doppler will pick up those clouds, that rain as it goes away. That's not actually rain. All that is slightly cooler air forming a difference in the temperature, and it picks it up. By the way, here's what the multi-million-dollar Doppler radar looks like up in Frederick. It's a pretty simple building full of very complex equipment. It's operated out of Altus Air Force Base.
Very impressive there.
It is at that.
Now, coming up next, now that we've had NEXRAD for a few storms, it's already hard to remember how we got by without it.
That's very true, and for a while we were wondering whether or not we would actually ever see it. We want to show you how the stubborn red tape was finally snipped. Everybody knows that government projects have their own setbacks and delays, and NEXRAD was no exception and is no exception. Most NEXRAD radar sites in the U.S. are controlled by the National Weather Service, but several of them are Department of Defense, and of course that sets its own special set of problems. It was this kind of problem that KFDX ran into when we tried to get the drop to the NEXRAD radar site out of Frederick. The NEXRAD site is DOD. And while it was operating, only the government agencies were allowed to use the products when we tried to get access to it. enter our next two guests. First of all, we have the General Manager of KFDX, Duane Lammers, and 13th District Congressman Bill Sarpalius. Duane, let me ask you first, why did KFDX invest so much time and money to get this drop to the Frederick radar?
Well, first of all, Skip, you know how important weather is to people here. It's the single most important thing that affects our viewers, and even one of the most important things that affects their lives, not just in terms of television, but it's something that affects them day to day. And of course, when severe weather hits, that's when they really want to know that, what's going on and what to expect.
Okay, now, we did develop a set of problems here getting this drop. When these problems cropped up, you dived right into it to try to get it solved, and you kind of ran into a brick wall. What did you do when you realized that you were having problems getting the operation solved? What did you do?
Well, it's one thing for myself to go in and try and get some action with some of the government agencies and whatever, and also with our contractors, but it became very apparent to me that I wasn't going to be able to get myself in contact with the right people. So I called Congressman Sarpalius, and he was tremendously helpful. I mean, he had quickly got up to speed on what the problem was and was able to get to the right people and got this project moved up on a very timely basis. And once he got involved, literally only took a couple of days to get some action.
Okay. Well, Congressman, let me ask you, when Duane called and explained the problems to you, how did you set out to resolve those?
Well, we first found out exactly where we were with this project, and instead of starting at the bottom and working our way up, we made a call to General Jack Kelly, who's actually head of the whole project, and expressed to him the problem here, and fortunately people began to move on it, and we were able to together get it solved.
Well, as Duane said earlier, weather is extremely important in this area, mainly because of the several bad tornadoes we've had. You know that National Weather Service is planning on closing the local office here. You stated in the past that you're going to work, and you are working, to keep this site open. How's that battle progressing?
Well, it's a battle, but I mean, NEXRAD is the future. I mean, there's no question that this is a wise investment for the citizens of the Wichita Falls area. It's the most up-to-date equipment that is available. And our feeling has always been that we want to make sure that the citizens of the Wichita Falls area have the best available to them. After all, this town suffered, and we know the pain and the importance of staying informed on weather conditions. And we want to make sure that the citizens here have complete confidence in NEXRAD and in the way things are going here as far as information provided for our weather service. And eventually, some of these weather stations will phase out. The weather station here in Wichita Falls will remain open for quite some time into the future.
Well, I do appreciate it, and on behalf of everybody in Texoma, gentlemen, thank you for working to keep us weather safe across the whole area. We do appreciate it. Everybody does. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
In the sound of my voice, there is a tornado on the ground near the Psych Center area in Wichita Falls. I'll try to stay as close as possible. Golly, I'll tell you what, they've got a bad one up there. 35, let's say about 10, 30 blocks away. That's a big one, man.
Now, before you can really understand how NEXRAD Doppler works, you need to know a little bit about how severe storms work and how they're born.
And that's what Mark will show us right now.
So what causes severe weather? Well, the reasons seem to change with each storm system, but there are a few common reasons why severe weather happens so frequently in Texoma. First of all, our geography plays a major role. Moisture flows up from the Gulf of Mexico, and dry air comes off of the mountains of New Mexico and Colorado. Now, if there happens to be a front in the area, these factors alone will produce a few thunderstorms. For thunderstorms to grow and become severe, however, a jet stream is needed. As the jet stream rolls over Texoma, the winds aloft are blowing much faster than they are at the ground. Usually jet stream level winds are near 150 to 200 miles per hour. Now, since the force of the winds is much greater aloft, this induces the air between the surface and the jet stream to start spinning horizontally like a giant pinwheel. Now, once a cold front moves in and starts to lift air from the surface, this horizontal tube of spinning air gets lifted along with it. Now, once lifted, there are two areas of circulation, one clockwise and another counterclockwise. The counterclockwise rotation is nearly always stronger, and it continues to grow. And as it does grow, the clouds and the thunderstorm grows along with it. Rain and hail starts to fall away from this circulation, and near the main rotation, a wall cloud sometimes develops. Now, if the circulation is strong enough, another smaller rotation area will start to develop within the wall cloud. The smaller area will begin to go faster and faster and faster until a cloud starts dropping out of the wall cloud. Now, once that cloud and rotation reaches the ground, a tornado has been formed.
Now, what you just saw is something our next guest sees a lot of every season, except the clouds and the storms. He sees are real, not computer graphics.
So joining us is Charlie Byers, who heads up the storm trackers in our area.
But before we talk to him, let's see what a typical day at the office is for Charlie and his dozens of volunteers.
I'm going to send him out west on 240, Gary. That's KB5FLT out of Burke. And just run him west on 240 there, because we got some cells that are down in here now. Of course, we're going to come up across them. Tommy's out there with me.
WVK, Norman, go ahead.
To the northeast, the line is moving to the east.
Charlie, you're talking to the guys out in the field right now. Exactly what are they looking for?
They're looking for all the characteristics of a tornado. They look for the wall cloud, the funnel to form, dust and debris coming off of the ground to identify the tornado skid.
Okay, you've got a lot of equipment there, Charlie. How are you communicating with these people in the field?
Well, this is the latest in technology and equipment as far as what we use. We do want to thank the Victortech Certainty Corporation, Ron Lane and Fernand Hubert and Richard Hicks out there for coming, donating the money to us to purchase this equipment. But it is the latest in the communications equipment that we are able to communicate directly with Norman, plus all of our spotters. And we also communicate to the surrounding area.
Well, now, we're always telling people exactly how dangerous these storms are. How dangerous is it for the guys to go out there and the gals, to chase these storms?
Well, it can be very dangerous. However, through the training that we have, we provide them with all of the information that they need really to be able to protect themselves in the field.
Okay, and they all do it. It's all volunteer, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Charlie, thank you very much for
joining
us.
Okay, well, still ahead, when a tornado roared down a Kansas interstate, some people did the wise thing and lived to talk about it.
And we'll have the experts here to tell you how to survive severe weather as well. One of the first ways you can keep you and your family safe is to know the difference between a watch and a warning. A severe thunderstorm watch means that winds in excess of 55 miles an hour and or hail 3/4 of an inch. Now, about 1 year ago on a Kansas highway, 2 little girls and their father were caught up in a pretty bad storm. When a funnel appeared, they did the wise thing. They abandoned their car. A TV crew happened to be there. They did the same thing, and this is what they recorded.
Get up under the girders. Is that where we want to go? Yes. Underneath the girders. Control it, Ted. It's coming out of there. Don't worry about it. Hang on, Terry. Now, what you doing? It sounded like a freight train. It just passed right on top of us. People very upset.
people underneath the girders of this overpass. They're still hanging on for their lives. It was a tremendous rush, flying debris everywhere. Some people look like they're all right, but they have scratches and bruises. Here comes another one. Hang on, Ted. I got you. Hang on. You're all right.
Put your hand over my arm.
It's okay.
It's over.
And believe it or not, Skip, that's one of the tornadoes they call weak.
That's right.
Something to think about there. Now, joining us now are two experts in preparing and surviving severe weather.
Jack Mezzo has been involved in severe weather for years. He was emergency management coordinator in Wichita County, and now he's with the Red Cross.
And Tommy Keesee is now doing what Jack did for the county.
First of all, Jack, Wichita Falls learned a lot from the 1979 tornado. What were a couple of things that they did learn?
Probably the most important thing we learned, Skip, was the importance of pre-planning. And a good plan for a community is just can't be emphasized enough. One of the other things is that we lost power throughout the city, and that really wasn't expected. You normally expect it to be more localized than that. And one thing, we got a lot of people that arrived at the hospitals in pickup trucks and automobiles and not really by ambulances, and that was quite a surprise.
Even though you had a practice not too many days in advance of that, there were still some things that were unexpected.
Absolutely, and things that I think in every disaster like that, you're going to have things like that. So prior planning is very important.
Works well. Mark?
Okay, and tell me, the county also went through that disaster. How well prepared is the county now for anything that would happen?
I think we're very well prepared. You never know how much damage and destruction is going to occur, but to be prepared individually is very important to the person in the home, to prepare and have water supplies and food supplies available.
Now, one of the things that the Red Cross does, and that's who Jack is with now, is that the Red Cross handles emergencies after the fact, but you don't just handle them for Wichita County.
That's correct. Just a couple hours ago, we're still working on a case in Clay County. If you remember the severe weather we had through here around the 2nd of May, destroyed several pieces of property in Clay County, and we're helping reconcile those particular problems for those families there. So it's important that families plan what they're going to do and prepare, because in '79 a lot of folks were injured and who had left an otherwise safe place, and they really need to know what to do before it happens.
Well, now that's one of the things that we tell the kids is when we go out, Mark and I go out and talk to the kids, and we tell them, be sure and work out a thing that you're going to have with your parents. If you're at school, of course, don't let the parents come get you. In '79, more than half the people that were killed were in a car at the time that it occurred. Is the Red Cross prepared at this time if we had another event, which is entirely possible at any time? Are they ready to pick up the slack and start to work?
We're ready to start to work, Skip. We need volunteers. Of course, we always need more volunteers. We couldn't handle by ourselves here in the county a '79 tornado. We'd have to call in folks from the region around the surrounding states and national headquarters, and that's what happened in '79. We were prepared to begin the operation right here, but as I say, we need more volunteers, and anyone who's interested, why, give us a call.
Well, and just with that note, what's the number?
322-8686.
We can always use everybody's help, Mark.
Okay, now Tommy, you're one of the people that makes the decision of whether or not at least the Wichita County storm sirens actually go off or not. When those sirens do go off, both during the tests in the first part of the month and also during the severe weather, what do you want people to be thinking?
Well, we want people to be thinking very muchly about their safety. That's the first thing that they should come to their mind when the sirens go off. They should be aware of the surrounding conditions. Is the weather bad? In other words, on the first Monday of the month, the sirens sound, and it not necessarily meaning that they should take cover. So they should be aware of what time of day it is and what the weather conditions are, and listen for those sirens and be able to take cover and protect themselves immediately.
Okay. Also, one of the things we talk to about at schools a lot is that we tell the kids that pretend more or less that you're in a severe thunderstorm watch, so you know something could happen a little later on. And what would you do if you looked outside your window right now and you saw a tornado? If you have to think about that for more than about 5 seconds, it's probably too late, because you need to know that you should go to the inside part of your house. The more the inside, the better, and of course away from any kind of windows. And in a case of a tornado, the best place to be is underground. But if you can't get there, you want to get into a small closet, a small bathroom, put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. And that's the one thing you need to ask yourself once those sirens go off, and it should almost be automatic. Just, where would I go right now, and then go do it.
And the only way you're going to do that is to do it ahead of time. Do it right now.
Right.
Looks like our time's about up. We hope you've learned just a little bit about Doppler radar and NEXRAD and how it can provide you that extra margin of safety.
And we hope you remember the important safety tips that we just talked about.
I hate to say this, but until the next storm, good night.
Good night.